Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 8. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, streaming live this morning from beautiful Los Angeles. If you are tuning in live, let me know. Throw your name in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Big good morning, afternoon, or evening to Lena and Nyasha and Gusbot's in the house, Richard and Huxel, Marissa, Megan, Tim, Noel, Letitia, and everyone else joining us live this morning. Kita's here, and Anna, and Tosha. Everyone else is just coming in. Hope you're all doing well. So, what do we have planned for today? We are almost there. Tomorrow is the last day of the XD Daily Creative Challenge, at least this one. There is another one coming up right after this, I believe starting on Monday or Tuesday, so that should be fun. All right, let me hop over to my screen. Here we go. And this is not what I want to show. There we go. So this is the landing page, behance.net/challenge/XD. And you can go there to get all the information you need for the XD Daily Creative Challenge. And we've got people from India. Again, midnight in India. Thank you for tuning in. So every single day you're going to receive a challenge, and usually it's around 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes if you're on Discord, we kind of slip them in a little bit before 8 o'clock. And speaking of Discord, let me pop this open. I didn't have it open, shame on me. But I'm gonna pop this open. There's over 11,000 of you in Discord right now. Probably not right now, but have joined Discord. There's over 11,000 of you, which is crazy. So we have a section for pro tips. We've got a section for community chat, feedback. You can give feedback, get feedback, post your work. We have some great challenges that have come in over the last 2 weeks. Some really nice ones that really stand out. Some great colors, some great mobile views, desktop views. We've been tackling quite a bit over the last 2 weeks. So definitely post your stuff in there. If you have questions about XD, you can throw that in there as well. You can post your old work, your new work, whatever you want, just throw it in there and try to help out the community as well. We have some great moderators. We have some great mentors as well, always in there, but we can only do so much. So if you want to give some feedback to other people, definitely jump in there and give some feedback yourself. All right, so that's Discord. And again, you're going to join me at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time every single day, Monday to Friday, to kick off that challenge. And then you're going to share your work. Again, you can share it in Discord if you wanted to, or you can hop over to Behance and share it with the keyword XD Daily Challenge. That way we can jump in there and just search and browse all of your amazing challenge entries. All right, so what have we done so far? Well, last week on Tuesday, we started with the landing page refresh. We took a look at a not so great landing page and we tried to refresh it a little bit, and I'll show you what we did in just a moment. We tackled the search experience, adding some filters and some other things. Then we tackled the navigation experience. And then we went on to marketing priorities, where we had used repeat grids to create some deal cards to navigate you to other areas of the website. Then we tackled the mobile splash screen with some cool auto-animate animations. Then we did the mobile home screen. Yesterday, we did the travel booking experience, and again, I'll show you that all in a moment. And today, we're tackling good old notifications. Kind of fun. It could be interesting to see what you all come up with, but using things like the iOS UI kit or Google Material, you have a lot of that stuff there for you, but notifications are super important in getting people engaged, getting people back in your application, and maybe even notifying them of trip information, or maybe their flight has been canceled. Not very fun, but it happens sometimes and you want to be notified. So let's go ahead and hop into Adobe XD right over here. And if anyone has questions throughout this process, definitely throw them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. So here's the template so far. And here's what we're tackling today. Again, it's the notification experience to notify you if trips are coming up, or if there's a deal you might want to pay attention to, important information, that sort of thing. And I would really encourage you to use what's available, right? So we've got the iOS UI kit and Google Material. We got links right here. You can just copy those, paste them in your browser, and download them. You can also go up to the File menu, down to Get UI Kits, and then you have links right here. So you can just jump to those pages, download the UI kits. They're all in XD format. Open them up, and you can just use all that material. And let me show you what some of that looks like. So this one over here is the Apple iOS UI kit for the iPhone 10. And we're going to be focusing on this information here, creating a little bit of a notification experience for this mobile app that we've been building over the last few days. All right, so let's go over our template so far. Again, last week we started with the landing page, very basic stuff. We did a full width image, we had a very basic search bar, we had a little bit of a navigation at the top, but that's about it, right? And then we started to expand on things by really diving into the search experience and the navigation experience to make it a little bit more user-friendly, to give some more options to the people who are browsing on this website. And then we kind of revised it a little bit. We added some cards at the bottom so they can get to additional destinations or find deals or whatever it might be. You go to all these websites like Expedia, Travelocity, they all have something like this at the bottom. And then we tackled the mobile screen. So we did something like this. Let me go ahead and play it. And this kind of loads. It's loading the application now, transitions into a login experience, which some of you have expanded on to include registration, forgot password, that sort of thing. And then we tackled the home screen right here to show some destinations. We took what we did in week 1 on our mobile or our desktop landing page and condensed it a little bit to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And then yesterday we tackled a travel booking experience, and let me show you what we did. We created this lovely page here, and then we can just swipe up using the drag trigger, and we can go straight into booking our experience. And we can swipe down to bring it back to get more information. So it's a fun little effect, and many of you threw in suggestions on what we can be adding on these sorts of things, and I'll definitely need more suggestions today as well. So we are going to be tackling navigation. Let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to just hop over to the iOS UI kit, and I'm just going to copy. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to simply copy these artboards back over here and paste them. Because if you have the stuff, you might as well use them, right? So we're going to work on this information here. And Richard is asking, is there a plugin or method to designing apps on XD for both iOS and Android without having to do separate projects like screens and icons? I'm not sure if there is, but I would probably recommend doing them separately because iOS and Android, even though they share a lot in common, they are still two very different beasts, especially when you're talking about the style guides and material design and things like that. So I would probably keep them separate, but you can use things like linked libraries and components if you do have things like logos that you want to keep up to date across both documents. All right, so what we're gonna do a few things. We're gonna start very simple and create the little bit of a notification experience. I'm gonna zoom in here, and I'm gonna start with the app name. Oh, you know what I have? I have in my what's this, layers panel, I have this shape. I'm just gonna hide this shape so it doesn't get in my way, because it does take up the whole artboard, so when I try to select an object, it gets in my way. So I'm gonna hold down Command or Control and just double click on the text, just so I can really dive into the mask, dive into the groups. I don't have to worry about click, 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 click. Just hold down Command or Control and click. And this will be Traveler. That's the name of our app that we're going with, and we'll stick with now, and then we're gonna type in some additional information here. Let's say, and I would love some feedback for titles and for body copy and that sort of thing. So if you have clever, interesting ideas, definitely throw them in there. So this will be Take Me to the Moon, right? And then maybe we'll do, whoops, has come true. Whoa, there's a ship leaving to, I'll get the planet name in a second, next week. Let's get you booked. All right, and now what I can do is I can go over here, grab this planet name that we created, and just paste it. Perfect. All right, now on some notifications, they can also give you a little bit of contextual information. They can show you a preview of an image on what that planet might look like or what the place, your destination you're going to. So in that case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this image here that we used yesterday. I'm gonna copy. And Megan's saying maybe you can color code the notifications for different topics. That could be interesting. I'm not sure how much iOS allows for something like that, but what you can do is you can definitely use things like images and give a little bit of information. So I'm gonna just jump into this mask here, paste this image. Now this is obviously way too big, so I'm just gonna drop this down a touch. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more square, just like that. Oh, Noel says, notification can say ready to launch. I kind of like that, Noel. Grab this image, make it a little bit smaller, just so we have a little bit of a preview right here. And of course, it's kind of cutting off some of that text. So we're just gonna grab the text, pull it inwards a little bit. Now, of course, we're running into another problem where some of it is now being masked. But let me tackle Noel's suggestion. Ready to launch. I like that suggestion. Maybe we can even have a little rocket emoji possibly. That could be fun. I'm gonna drag this downwards, and we still have that mask that we have to deal with. So I'm gonna find the mask in my layers panel right here and just drag that down. And we have that shape in the background. Where's that shape? Here's the shape. Drag this down. Let's find that mask. Where's the mask? Here's the mask. Perfect. All right, so now that we can see our entire notification, that's pretty much good to go. I can also, maybe I'll give a little bit more padding right there. Perfect. All right. Now we may want to also use some of that information. There, Tim posted the rocket. Let me see if I can copy and paste this. Let's see if that works. Let's see. Aha, perfect. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. All right. So now we can use all this information on this next screen, which gives you a little bit more detail on the trip, and also it might expand that image as well. And you know, on iOS, you would just hold down, you would press hard, it's force touch, and force touch or 3D touch, one of the two. They keep changing it, and it will show you more information. So what we can do, just to not redo everything, is we can just grab this information here, grab ready to launch, grab this, copy it. I'm gonna jump in here. Let me get rid of that shape in the foreground. Paste. There we go. That looks pretty good. Pop that right about there. And for here, we can definitely make this a little bit longer. Perfect. And I'm gonna change the name to Traveler. And we want to grab this image again. Now, of course, in this view, we can make it a lot bigger. So I'm gonna copy it, hop into here, paste it, and I really want to make sure it fills up the whole width of this notification box, just so when someone does tap on that, they see a nice large view. All right, so that looks pretty good. And down here we have some actions. So let's go for book trip and maybe remove from wish list. Now we probably only need 2, so I'm just going to delete this one, and I might want to round out the corners of this bottom one. So, but just in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and simply drag out this corner here, and we'll make it around 13 pixels. You can also make the change in your Properties Inspector over to the right. So I can just change this one to 13 pixels. And now we have a nice rounded corner with just 2 options. All right, so things are looking pretty good. Of course, when someone does tap on one of these, something has to happen. And Keita's asking, where did you get those images? They're probably all from Adobe stock, if I'm remembering correctly. So in this case, we want to hop into prototype mode. So I'm gonna go to the top into prototype mode, and whether someone either taps on this or this, it's gonna go somewhere. But we might want to start to tap on this, and it's going to expand into this view here. So I'm simply gonna grab this group, drag the blue handle over to the right, and in the properties, I'm gonna simply do a tap. We're not gonna do any sort of magical auto animation right now. We'll just do a simple transition, and it's going to cut, so none. And then when they tap on, let's say, book trip, that's gonna go over to this artboard that we created yesterday. And the same thing, maybe we'll do a dissolve for this one. Very simple dissolve, nothing too crazy. Let's say 0.2 seconds, we'll see what that looks like. All right, so if we launch this, we've got our notification that popped up. We can click on it, it'll expand to show us a little bit more detail, and we can press book trip, and it's gonna go directly to this artboard that we created yesterday, where we can now just drag up and down. Now, of course, there are a few things that we can probably start adding before we wrap things up, including some sort of a menu that controls your navigation or your notification experience, because notifications are great, but sometimes you just don't want too many notifications. And I love when applications have a settings section where you can turn off and turn on certain notifications. So what I'm going to do is on this artboard, just for now, we're gonna move it out of the artboard in a minute. I'm gonna grab my rectangle and simply just draw out a box across this artboard like this. I'll maybe make it nice and dark. Maybe add a little bit of a shadow. 0 on the y-axis, maybe negative, whoops, maybe negative, let's say 10 or 20, and then really blur this thing just so we have a nice blur. And maybe I'll increase the shadow a little bit. All right, there we go. That just separates it from the background just a touch. Now on this menu, we want a few things. Maybe we want a profile, and then of course we want all the settings. And this might be like the second or third level within these settings, but we're gonna just jump straight into notifications. So I'm gonna just grab an ellipse, draw out a little bit of a profile icon, just like this. It's gonna line up with some of that search icon and the menu icon in the background. I'll have it, let's say, go for 24 pixels from the side. Beautiful. I'll keep that white for now. I will drag a picture in there in a moment. And I'm gonna name this. I'll put my name in there. I'll grab our Mr. Eves text that we've been working with. And we'll go for bold for that one. I can make it a little bit larger, just like that. Great. So now that we have that, we might also want some sort of a tier level for me. And Richard's saying, what's the best Y and X axis to use for drop shadows? It really depends on your design. I know Apple uses double. So if it's, let's say it's 5 pixels down, it'll be 10 pixels for the blur. But it really depends on your project and how much of a blur you really want. So this might be, I might be a platinum member. Fancy. And then maybe I've traveled 52.2 million miles. I might want this a little bit smaller, so I'm going to just drop that down. Maybe not so bold, and maybe I'll just drop the opacity a little bit so it's not super in your face. All right, so now that we've got that set, and leave that right about there, we now need some more text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type out notifications, make that quite a bit bigger, and I might want to make this nice and bold so you really know what you're looking at. It'll be heavy. That looks pretty good. Make sure everything lines up really nicely. And now down here, we need to actually create some switches and some categories for our notifications. So let's go ahead, and this is where I'm gonna need all of your help. Let us know in an application like this, what kind of notifications might they be sending to users? So this one's gonna be upcoming trips. Upcoming trips. Now this is way too large. I will keep it around, somewhere around bold, but I'm gonna definitely decrease the size of this quite a bit. Let's go for 20, somewhere around there. Make sure everything lines up nicely and give a little bit of space. We'll probably have a lot of room, so we'll have a nice amount of space. Let me drop this a touch more. Okay, so we've got our label. We also need a switch. So I'm gonna grab my rectangle tool, just draw one out just like this, and round out the corners quite a bit. So Nyasha is saying weekly deals, that could work. I'll make sure this is 24 pixels from the side. There we go. Richard's saying past trips. Now for this one, I'm going to set the background just a little bit lighter. This is gonna be the off state. And the border is gonna be just very nice and subtle, just like that. Perfect. Cancellations, friend requests, that could be good. And in the center, I'm gonna grab a little bit of an ellipse, make it a little bit smaller. There we go, that looks good, and make it a touch darker. So again, this is gonna be the off state, and I'm gonna move this over to the left. All right, so that's the off state there. That looks pretty good for our first switch. Almost lines up. Let me make it a touch smaller. There we go. That looks good. All right, flight delays, special events. Looks good to me. Okay, so now that we have our first switch, we also have our first label. We need to make this into a component so we can very easily use it, create a repeat grid and that sort of thing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the switch. I'm gonna select the little handle within it, whatever you call it, thing that you move back and forth. And also I'm gonna select the text as well. So with all, actually, before I do that, I do want to select this text and turn it into an area text, just in case I have labels that are a little bit longer. I'm gonna pull that out to the side. All right, so now that I have all that set up, I'm gonna turn this into a component, Command or Control K, boop, there we go. And I wanna turn this now into a repeat grid. So I'm gonna press the repeat grid button over to the right, boop, there we go. And simply drag this down my artboard like that. And I might want to space it out quite a bit. So let me take some of your suggestions. We have flight delays. We have friend requests. Now I'd probably make sure that these are in some sort of an order, but for now, I will leave it like this. Trip cancellation. All right, what else do we have? Probably hot deals, and maybe, just for fun, planet discoveries. All right, so we'll keep it at that for now. I can definitely add a few more later. We need to make some overrides because these switches, we want some of them on, some of them off. So maybe this one here, I might want in an on state. So I'll just make this nice and white, just like that. The border will be, again, very subtle. And maybe for this one, I might want to sample this red color, or I can grab it from my assets panel, and this will be over this way. There we go. So that is on. Flight delays we definitely want, and maybe planet discoveries we might also want. So I can just very easily do that. I can also, let me show you one more thing you can do. You can select the shape here, you can copy it, go down to this one, paste appearance, just like that. Super simple. And towards the end of the year, when we do release states, this should be much easier to just toggle different, on states, off states, that sort of thing. But for now, you can just do it like this. All right, so now that we have this set up, let's very quickly grab all this information in our menu. So I'm going to grab it all within the layers panel. I'm going to group it. Just call this menu. And let me duplicate this whole artboard over to the right just for now. And I'm going to delete everything else other than the menu, just like that. So now we only have the menu, and I also want to turn off the background color by unchecking fill over to the right. And this will allow us to use this menu on pretty much any artboard that we want. So I'm going to delete it from here. And within prototype mode, I'm going to select my hamburger menu and drag it over to this artboard that just contains the menu. Now in the properties, what we're going to do is we're going to have a tap trigger, but instead of a simple transition, we're going to use an overlay. And this will allow us to position that menu anywhere we want. Of course, it's taking up the whole artboard, so it just pops it right there for us. And we're going to have it, let's go for slide left. So it slides left from the right. And Nyash is asking, how about making the toggle a component? Yeah, I could have definitely done that. I chose to do the entire row, but you could have done just the component and text separately. It's really up to you. We'll do in and out, and we'll do a duration of 0.4 seconds. And you can also hook it up from here as well. Drag this over, boop, there we go. Perfect. Let's do it over here. What you can also do is go here, you can copy, you can right click and paste interaction, so it'll automatically do it for you. Perfect. All right, so now no matter which artboard I'm on, I can grab that menu, it slides out, I can see all my notifications, all my toggles and that sort of thing. Click on it to go back, and again, doesn't matter which artboard you're on, you can just click, and there we go. So that will just about do it for day number 8. We tackle the notification experience. So we have a little bit of a simple notification here. You can tap on it to expand, to get more information on that notification. You have a few actions at the bottom. You can book a trip. You're taken here. You can slide up to actually book the travel, and you can slide out a menu from the right to the left, and you can see all of the lovely notifications that you have enabled. So that will just about do it for me for today. I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of you come up with for your notification experience. Get super creative with it. Have some fun. Maybe add some auto animate to the home screen, and then submit it in Behance and Discord. And that'll just about do it for me. I will be back tomorrow with day number 9, the last day of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. But another one is coming up very shortly. So thanks again, everyone, for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.